permitting first level, which is courage, permitting, feasible, permitting, affirmation, empowerment. I see some of the guys on X, they're posting stuff. I saw a video of Nick Fuentes. And Nick Fuentes made a video and he said, I've been called out. I can't say the N-word anymore because Patrick Bet-David at Turning Point USA got up and he said the reason why he's not willing to have me on is because I say the N-word too much. And you know what, folks? I think it's come time that I have to make certain sacrifices.
So before we get too far gone in this dumb point, right? And Nick did say this, and I've talked about this before. And I think, shout out to Nick for, at least thinking about what people have said about him or whatever. So it just shows that he's not a bad actor. Patrick Bet-David has no leg to stand on after this interview, this glaze session that he did today. Okay, so I don't want to hear anymore about Nick Fuentes not being able to come on your channel after he's interviewed this guy.
He does what he thinks is in.
Whatever Israel wants, they make a phone call to America. America better do or else. Do you agree with that?
Do you know President Trump? You don't make him do anything. He does what he thinks is in America's interest, and he's very forceful about it.
With the war and the Hamas.
So, and I can't play too much of it because he has this stupid music going on. But Patrick Bet-David interviewed Netanyahu. And here's the thing, right? Here's the thing, is that I do believe that you can interview, it's your channel, please. As a matter of fact, to be honest, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not even going to lie to you. I would most certainly interview Netanyahu. But the difference between me and Patrick Bet-David, and you guys already know, is that you're not getting away with jack-ish with me. This question even that he just asked him, does Israel control America? Does you just call Trump and you tell him what you want? And then, and then Israel gets it. And then he's like, oh, well, Trump does whatever he wants. He can't be controlled. That is a disrespect to the question. You think that kind of control started with Trump? What is wrong with it? You know why I hate this? You know why? You know how many Americans were killed? Okay. Iraq, before I even talk about the veterans, I always do this. I'm sorry, because we had no business over there. We decimated 1.5 million Iraqis, okay? Sliced the Christian population in half. Doesn't matter if they were atheists. We had no business in there, okay? Don't get me started on Libya and all sorts of other, right now what we're doing in Lebanon, funding the genocide in Gaza. So, okay, right? This doesn't start with Trump. And you ask them that question, you disrespect the veterans, though, who died in Iraq when they should have never been there. A bunch of blood, American blood. You think a bunch of Mike Millers and Harveys and Leroy Jenkins and whoever else who went there, and Mike Gomez's who went there. Okay, not Okay, so y'all already know, right? And and shouldn't have been there. A lot of them who are still ending themselves today because they thought they were going to save their country. And you disrespect their memory with a question like that. Let's just see a little bit more. This is not but a glaze session.
Fighting ally we have. You don't ask us to put boots on the ground. You don't ask us to fight your wars, although President Trump did a great thing by joining in that precise strike that he did. Didn't just start World War III. It didn't bring thousands of American troops on the ground in Iran, but it did. It was a magnificent addition to our brave soldiers. So I have to tell you, I think it's a partnership that is going to go on for a long, long time.
Yeah, no, we don't want that. We don't want that. We don't want, get out of here. Get out. We don't want it. We don't want this so-called partnership. We had no business bombing Iran, okay? Iran. We had no business doing that. And again, there's already reports. Israel's getting ready to go back into Iran before the year is out. You think that America's not going to help in some fashion? Don't you get? We don't want you fighting our wars. We don't want boots on the ground. Everybody thinks it's boots on the ground. That's it. It's not just that. It's everything. It's the whole bit. We're not supposed to be involved with. We've already dismantled the Middle East. They're gonna bomb a bunch of Iranians and then cause chaos and then what happens? Guess who does the cleanup? Because you think those Iranians are gonna go live in Israel, so-called Israel? They don't go there. They come here, right? And they didn't want to come here because if they wanted to come here, they'd have came here already.
As far as I'm concerned, for all time.
Prime Minister, what do you say to the critics who say, Israel owns America,
So we already had that question answered. So
the most angriest in House of from last Friday, but from the week before that, I'll give you a little spoiler alert. It has everything to do with the vice president. We are living in House of Cards right now. JD Vance went from being an unelected civilian in 2022 to a senator, to the vice president in 24, to within 4 years, potentially the president of the United States. That is some serious House of Cards shit. This is a guy that in 6 years has gone from never Trump author to potentially president of the United States. And he was empowered to get there by Peter Thiel, who designed the surveillance state itself, by Elon Musk, the richest man in the world who owns the platform X, and Tucker Carlson, who is maybe the most influential voice in Republican politics, courtesy of Rupert Murdoch, his former boss, and Rebecca
CNN,
Mercer.
And MSNBC.
Look, watch.
And I'll show you how it all comes together at the end. I'm Zoe Barnes. What if there was a coup against the American government? What if there was a coup against the America First MAGA movement by the deep state to usurp and subvert Donald Trump and install a deep state puppet? A never-Trumper Silicon Valley artifice who was nobody. And in 6 years, he'll be the heir apparent president from MAGA, president of the United States. And what if one guy stood against him? What if one guy who didn't take money from Peter Thiel, what if one guy who wasn't taking support from Silicon Valley, one guy who's paying attention and is skeptical, what if one guy was calling that out? Well, you get hit with the Death Star laser.
Who's the one guy?
That's what's happening to me.
He's
the
I mean,
guy?
I'm going to
So-
give credit where credit's due, which I always do. Pat was the first one, and I know we changed.
I know Dan Pat was the first one, okay? Pat did not, Patrick did not, they're going to stop at Vinny, call out JD Vance that hard, okay? Nick Fuentes has given the full biography on JD Vance, but Nick Fuentes can't be on the show because he says the N-word. How about no? I still do think that he might still get Nick on the show. It depends, because well, let me tell you this. The damage control is going to be necessary. So he might just have to as a counter to Netanyahu, which actually, because the Nelk boys had to do it. The Nelk boys had to get Nick right after that whole Netanyahu stuff happened, and they almost lost their whole fan base. They had to call up Nick and get him right on to, he saved their podcast as far as I'm concerned, because people were done with it. And the Nelk boys, they have a younger audience. Patrick, but let me just show you the dragging that's going on too with him. I don't know. And the thing about Netanyahu is he knows that people will get dragged for him being on their show. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. Okay? So Watchful interview everybody. Is this a joke? I'm telling you, like, listen. And these people, these three right here on different sides of any kind of political aisle. But they know one thing. This is disgusting. Is this a joke? Yeah, let's bring on the guy who's currently committing a genocide to give his thoughts on genocide. Holy ish, this is Logan for you guys. Dr. Simon, breaking news would be if he officially recognized that Israeli genocide, and you didn't even, mind you, he's talking about some breaking news because he officially recognizes Armenian, Assyrian, and Greek genocide committed by the Ottoman Empire. Like, that's so freaking hard for him to do. By the way, as far as the Armenian genocide going on with Azerbaijan, everything that was going on with Azerbaijan, Israel was providing Azerbaijan with weapons, so fucking miss me, bro. I mean, like, we just, you know what I mean? The Armenian genocide was carried out by the Young Turks, crypto Jews. So yeah, but I'm talking about the current issues today with Azerbaijan and Armenia. So Sabby Sabs, what's wrong with you? I don't even know what this means. Does Iraq? He's so close. Oh, she can't say too much, you know. Platform. I mean, no one gives a F. This is just low. As an Israeli, I expect the Knesset to officially recognize the Armenian genocide committed by the Turks, especially after Netanyahu, what is going on? We must also condemn what? Man, get out of here. So that might be like the only one. After that, everybody's just pretty much dragging him, and he deserves every bit of it. I am here to call out these fake people, these people who make you, who make you think that, who try to, you know, guilt you and say, well, I should be able to have whoever I want on my show, and have to talk to people, understand that you please drag them. Nobody cares what Netanyahu thinks, okay? Please. See you guys at the next one. Bye.